Stephen Keppel is here as always for this week's economic recap. And we're going to start with the news that has dominated the world's attention, the now confirmed death of Libyan leader Muammar Gaddafi. Stephen, what will happen to Libya's economy and its role as an oil producer now that Gaddafi's out of the picture?
Yeah, I mean, it's really hard to say because it's all happened very recently. But I mean, I think over the long term we might see an impact on the oil price. You know, after the announcement of Gaddafi's death, you saw oil prices go down a little bit, but that's just kind of a reaction to news. But Libya is a big oil producer. It's about 2%. At their peak, they're producing about 2% of global demand, so it's pretty significant. Mainly they export to Europe, but we probably won't know what this means for the Libyan economy or for their oil production for the next couple of months. We really have to see how their government does, how they get set up, and how they get oil production up and going again. It might take a few years.
Exactly. It depends on the reconstruction efforts, as you said. Now, another news that we're monitoring closely are the Argentine elections coming up this Sunday. It looks like Cristina Fernández de Kirchner is all set for re-election. What will happen to the Argentine economy if Cristina gets re-elected?
Yeah, I mean, there's been a couple articles out this week saying, oh, maybe she'll moderate a bit and be a little bit less radical and more rational with economic policy. I feel like they say this every time there's an election in Argentina, and I don't think it's going to happen. I think they're going to continue forward with what they call el modelo, which is basically some unorthodox policies that really stimulate the economy, which is good for short-term growth, but in the long term it's pretty unsustainable. But I think we'll probably see more of the same.
Now go to our Tumblr page for that coverage of the Argentine election. And another big election coming up in 2012 is the Mexican election. That's July 2012. Enrique Peña Nieto, who's leading in the polls, gave some comments and some insight on what his economic policies will be. So tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, he gave an interview with the Financial Times where he talked about what his policies might look like for the economy. This would be the first time, if he were to win, that the PRI would get back in power after about 10 or 11 years. And basically he said that the energy sector needs more private investment, which was kind of a surprise. The oil sector is dominated by the state oil giant Pemex.
Okay.
And he talked about opening up a little bit to private investment. He talked about spending more on education infrastructure, and he said that he would do this through a major fiscal reform, which hasn't occurred in years under Calderon. There were some mini reforms, so he's talking about a big reform. I mean, we'll see if this happens, but it was interesting to get some of his ideas this early in the game, and I think it'll be interesting to see as some of the other candidates start coming out, and if there's anybody out there that can really beat this guy. I don't know.
We look forward to more analysis on what's going to happen in Mexico, and of course, tune into our Tumblr page and follow us on Twitter for a fresh take on today's economy.